Hi, MarySheila. Thank you so much for coming on Legal Limelight today.
It's my pleasure, and welcome back to campus.
So I'm back at Villanova. I went to Villanova undergrad, and I haven't really experienced Villanova law life at all. When I came here, it was still the old building. They now have a brand new facility. It's absolutely gorgeous. Not only do you have a new facility, but you have an incredible fashion law program.
Yes, we do. Yes, the Charles Woodger School of Law at Villanova University. Our tagline is the intersection of law and business. And so through that kind of tagline, yes, we have a JD MBA, which I help run. We have all sorts of courses in business law, but fashion law is so much about business law, intellectual property, labor and employment law, retail, contracts, litigation. And the Fashion Law Society was started by students, one of whom is Catherine Del Rosso, and her parents, Anne and Joe Del Rosso, recently endowed the Fashion Law Symposium that we just had our 10th annual last week, where we bring in thought leaders from major law firms, from fashion houses, some entrepreneurs themselves in the fashion industry to talk about the changing landscape of fashion law.
And it's always changing, and exactly like you said, it's so encompassing. I think a lot of students, when they say fashion law, I want to be a fashion attorney, that sometimes is off-putting for practitioners because we want to know exactly like what kind of law do you want to be an IP lawyer for fashion brands? Do you want to do employment law? So helping them navigate that. Do you have different types of course programs to help them figure out what they want to do in fashion law?
Yes, we always offer a fashion law course, a 3-credit course once a year. So that is an elective that students can take. But then additionally, I would suggest maybe they take my course, which is called Law and Strategy for Entrepreneurs and Attorneys. We would encourage them maybe to take an IP course if they want to get into the intellectual property, and then doing the value add of getting involved in the Fashion Law Society, where we do panels and workshops in addition to the annual Fashion Law Symposium, where they get to meet people in the industry.
That's so special and important because when I was in law school, I interned at Tory Burch and Prada, and I had such incredible exposure to the different areas of law within fashion companies. So I think that in-person, really clinical, actually practicing experience is critical. So
yes, we're very blessed with that. We have students who work at Louis Vuitton. We have students that work, for example, at Estee Lauder, because fashion, I also like to think, let's broaden it to beauty as well.
Yes.
The fashion and beauty, right? Whether it's luxury or not luxury, whether it's, QVC or Target, right? There's fashion and beauty brands all around us in the United States and globally.
Absolutely. It's in Cardozo, we ended up rebranding the name of our alumni network to be more encompassing because the same issues that fashion's facing, it's very similar to the beauty industry as well, as we could see in the world with tariffs and all the global geopolitical issues going on and how that trickles down into law.
International law, is and various states. I was on a Zoom today with one of our students, one of my advisees who's externing with Louis Vuitton, and there are things that certain states pass. Say California is often forward, looking, and they have certain guidelines, or not even guidelines. They have certain legal restrictions that if you do business there, you might as well think that it's coming down the pike for the other states as well.
Absolutely. So you mentioned, I want to go back to something that you mentioned, this entrepreneur class.
Yes.
We are now in a digital economy with more and more people starting their own companies. I've started my own firm after leaving Big Law and working as a partner at a boutique firm out in LA. So can you tell us a little bit about that program?
Yes. So the Scarpa Center, which I also direct, is the Scarpa Center for Entrepreneurship and Law. And the idea is that even though attorneys are taught to be risk averse and to, counsel clients about what they can and can't do, sometimes that is a bit of a straitjacket. And so what we're trying to do in the Scarpa Center is teach the entrepreneurial mindset. We have a lot to learn from entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are the backbone of our economy in the United States. They are change agents, and they need attorneys as strategic partners. Correct. One thing we have found in research and in talking to a lot of founders is that early on, they sometimes resist talking to an attorney at their peril. They're afraid of the cost. So one of the things attorneys can learn about being great partners with startups is to maybe change their fee structure so that people aren't afraid that they're going to be nickeled and dimed in the beginning. Anyway, as we are trying to train young men and women to be entrepreneurial attorneys, whether they want to work for an entrepreneur or even own their own law firm, we're trying to get them to take charge of their own career and to be very open-minded about innovations. And a lot of times we don't even think that the law is innovative, but there have been innovations in the law over the years. You know, even the whole idea of a condominium, that never existed. We learned in property, you know, if something is a fee simple, right? But condominium law was an invention, was an innovation in the law. The creation of something called an S Corp and the LLC, limited liability company. These are innovations in the law. So what we're trying to do in the Scarpa Center for Entrepreneurship in Law is to encourage students to think more broadly about their own careers and how to best partner with founders to be strategic partners in what I think is a very exciting thing that we offer in America is a free market economy. Amazing. Yes, we have regulations, but the amazing, and you said this with the digital economy, there are so many ways when I bring in founders and we have an entrepreneur in residence each semester come into the law school and talk about the legal challenges they faced, the growth challenges, the employment challenges, the intellectual property challenges. I think it opens students' eyes beyond a textbook. These are living case studies of how to work with entrepreneurs. It's very exciting. It's very messy.
It's messy, but it's so important. Like, I see the difference between students who have worked in-house or have that sort of practical experience, or maybe they've even worked in retail or they've had some business experience, versus those who have not had any business experience. And when they're advising clients, it tends to be very in a vacuum, very narrow. And when you're speaking to business people, they don't understand legalese, and they need you to translate it for them, or else they're going to go find someone else.
And one of the things we have found by talking to founders is they resent the men and women who are creative. They've created a new gadget or a service or a slightly just different way of doing something. When you talk to an attorney that hasn't even done the legwork, the due diligence of understanding that person's business, that is very off-putting. Now, the attorney doesn't have to be the expert in a food industry, or they're not engineers, but trying to understand the industry that potential client is in is really important.
And it's so easy now, like just look on their Instagram, and if they don't have a lot of content, go on YouTube and watch a video. There really is no excuse. And I think it's interesting you said that, because when I was practicing at the beginning of my career, I remember it being very relying on the client and asking the client for materials to send to me so I can understand the product.
But that's only your viewpoint. Yes. You want to understand who their competition is. Also, you know, they may be infringing on someone's trademark or whatever. So you're right, doing our due diligence, and we're just kind of flipping the script a little bit. And this is something I didn't have when I was in law school. The Scarpa Center's only been around for 10 years, and we've added different things that students can do. We started a Scarpa corporate negotiation team. We started the Forum, which is a blog for entrepreneurship law. We have an Entrepreneurship Law Society, and now I am the advisor for the Fashion Law Society, which I've said has existed for 10 years, and our symposium every year is unbelievable.
It's so great. I'm so excited and honored that you took the time to meet with me today. Eska's going to be very involved in supporting you. And for everyone watching, where's the best place to connect with you?
Well, on LinkedIn, there's not many MarySheila McDonalds at Villanova School of Law. I also sometimes post on Twitter at Prof. MarySheila. And I'd be delighted to hear from anybody out there.
Does the Villanova Fashion Law Society have an Instagram account?
They do have an Instagram account.
Okay.
I don't know that handle right off, but we'll make sure we tag you.
We're going to tag you so you guys can follow the Villanova group and stay connected with Villanova Law. Thank you so much, MarySheila.
Thank you, Francesca. Welcome back, and don't wait so long to come back to Villanova.
Oh, I'm coming back. It's so different. It's absolutely like beautiful, and Wayne is so cute. We went to lunch. It's a really special place. Had I had seen this, I don't know. It would be a very close decision whether I'd go to Cardozo or not. I love Cardozo, but it's a beautiful school. It's a beautiful program too.
Yeah, we're very proud of the Charles Woodger School of Law, and it's getting more and more competitive to come here, but we have a lot of great paths and avenues for students to explore.
I'm so excited. Thank you guys. We'll add some links below, and we'll see you next week. Bye.